Content warning: the following video discusses instances of child sexual abuse and disordered eating. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back. With Pride season upon us, I thought now would be a good time to tell y'all my coming out story. I've had a complicated relationship with sex and my sexual orientation. My parents were weird about the subject. For instance, when my mother got pregnant with my younger sister, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, 3 boys, 36, 34, 20, and 1 girl, 33. Instead of telling me the standard stork story, they rented an animated video that exemplified everything in detail with illustrations and frank language. I must have watched that video like 20 times before my parents returned it to the store. And while home alone at age 2, I discovered my dad's porn collection and put one of the tapes in the VCR. It was straight, interracial porn, and I remember being fascinated by it. So much so, I didn't realize when my dad had come home. He saw what I was watching and tore my ass up. Mind you, this was back in the 80s when my father was an MP in the army, and we lived in Western Germany. My first sexual experience came at 4 when another kid and I played I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Shortly before my 5th birthday, my mother, myself, and my siblings moved in with my father's mother in Detroit. My dad was supposed to join us in a few weeks, but he got jammed up due to the chaos of the Berlin Wall falling. He eventually came stateside 4 or so months later. There were 11 of us living in a 2-bedroom house, so it was crowded. My Uncle Patrick's girlfriend had a son from another relationship who was 9 months younger than me, but we called him our cousin anyway. He started sexually abusing my brother and I soon after we moved in. Without going into the gory details, it involved penetration. I never told any of the adults, because I didn't know what he was doing was wrong. Unfortunately, as the case is with many abuse victims, I continued the cycle. When I was 5 and a half, our neighbors had friends over and I went over to play with their kids. Me not knowing any better, I abused one of the boys, Christopher. The same cousin who'd abused me saw us and told the adults so I would get in trouble, as he was wont to do. I got a spanking and was banned from being around Christopher, which I completely understand. Shortly thereafter, I had my first case of SJS, an allergic reaction that causes your skin to liquefy. I'll make a video about this later. For the longest time, I thought that was my punishment for what I'd done. On top of this, my grandmother and all my uncles were very homophobic, so I grew up hearing how being gay was the worst thing ever and internalized that. I'd had your regular crushes on girls beginning as young as 8, but I didn't have crushes on guys until I was a bit older. My first crush on a guy happened to be an older boy in our neighborhood named Shelby. I was 11 and didn't realize it then, but in retrospect, I was totally smitten with him. I'd get jealous when he paid attention to my brother or other kids, and I'd get a warm feeling on my chest whenever I saw him. Around that time, I'd started middle school and the bullying intensified, and as middle school progressed the bullying shifted from being about my voice/breathing tube to my acting gay. The summer I turned 13 I became sexually active with an older friend of my younger brother, but our relationship was purely sexual and lasted a few months before there was a falling out between our parents. He was banned from our house, though he'd sneak over, and we'd play video games. The summer between 8th and 9th grade I experienced my first serious romantic crush on a guy. He was my brother's best friend at the time, and it came as a shock to me. My brother had started running the streets that summer, so his friend would wait for him to come home at our house. Since he was around so much, we got to talking, and I discovered we were into a lot of the same things. So, we'd hang out and game or listen to Adam Sandler comedy tapes. I never acted on my attraction to him, since it had been drilled into my head that being gay was bad. He turned out to be straight, so I bullet dodged there. It wasn't until I was 16 that I began accepting my attraction to other guys. Slowly, I started exploring LGBTQ+ websites and reading/fiction and gay erotica. I'd considered myself bisexual then, but because of internalized biphobia and that of the gay community and larger society, I felt like I had to pick a side. Something which I now know is bullshit. Back then I was more attracted to guys. So when I started college, I came out as gay at 19, even though part of was into girls, too. I started hooking up and trying to date guys, but I never felt part of the community, both because of my race and how the LGBTQ+ media prizes attractive white gay males, and I'm neither. Because of this, diversity in LGBTQ+ media and the larger culture is an issue I'm passionate about, but I digress. The whole time I was hooking up with guys, part of me was still curious about relations with women. I'd messed around with a couple girls at the start of college, but nothing came of it. At 22, I had my first serious relationship with a guy. He was 2 years younger than me, closeted, and had mental issues, as did I. Because he wasn't out, for the entire 8 months we were together we had to sneak around. Honestly, things between us should have never gone on as long as they did because he was controlling and emotionally abusive, while I hadn't worked through my abandonment issues and learned to set healthy boundaries yet. I won't go into it all, but the last straw was when we hadn't seen each other in like 2 months and he chose to hang with family and friends over me. I was devastated and, like I'm prone to doing, I ate my feelings, packing on a ton of weight. After 6 months of moping around, I decided enough was enough and started hitting the gym, more than I should have. Hello anorexia athletica. While spending almost every day at the gym I lost the weight, and then some, and felt better about myself. Also, I'd catch myself checking out women there and some of them were checking out me, which was weird since only one girl was ever interested in me throughout middle and high school. I'm not proud of next actions. I got it into my head that I wanted to make myself straight, so I got rid of all my gay porn, delete accounts on hookup sites and started trying to land a girlfriend, or a hookup at the very least. I went out to straight bars and dance club, drank too much, and made a fool of myself. But I did make out and hook up with a few girls. Deeming myself cured, I created a new account at a gay hookup site, to see if I had any lingering same-sex attractions. Turns out I did, but I still like girls. So, I've been openly bisexual since. My game with women still sucks though, What this whole experience has taught me is that no, you don't choose your sexual orientation, you can't cure being LGBTQ+, nor should you try to. You're born this way and perfect as you are. Happy Pride Month, and don't let anyone force labels on you. However you identify, you are valid, loved, and worthy of dignity and respect. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you're comfortable doing so, let me know your coming out experiences.